Hello, everybody. It is Friday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Adam Bittner, assistant sports editor for multimedia at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, joined on our Penn State YouTube channel by Post-Gazette sports columnist Jason Mackey. We're going to be talking about the Nittany Lions win against Nevada, what stood out to us, particularly on the defensive side of the ball with Dani Dennis-Sutton dominating, and especially with the backdrop of these low-scoring big games. What does it mean for Penn State's offense to be dominant in that type of landscape? We'll also talk a little bit about Drew Allar, a big day for the receivers with Kyron Hudson, and the running game and what we're reading into that one way or the other. Before we get into all of it, I want to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast at ZipRecruiter. Are you having trouble finding the right people to hire? Tired of sorting through endless resumes? Well, the future of hiring looks much brighter because of ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features that help speed up finding the right people for your roles, so you save valuable time. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/audio. With ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with qualified candidates in minutes. See a candidate you're really interested in? You can unlock their contact info instantly. Use ZipRecruiter and save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ziprecruiter.com/audio right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ziprecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Okay, Jason, let's dig in here with the Penn State defense. Dani Dennis-Sutton has 2.5 tackles for loss, a sack in the game. He had Brad Nessler calling him the next Abdul Carter, even though I believe he would have been ahead of Abdul Carter in the class order, just because Abdul Carter was a little bit of an underclassman. Around the country, these games were very low scoring. How much does that elevate his particular importance to this team? And does he belong in that? We always talk about Drew Allar, Nick Singleton, and Kaytron Allen as the holy trinity of this team. Does he belong there as the number 4 guy?
I mean, yes, if this continues, Adam. I mean, I didn't disagree with Nessler's comment. And I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking too. He was a madman. The way he filled out the stat sheet, and some of what he did last year late in the season too. I mean, that is
great in the Notre Dame game.
He was fantastic. So, I mean, yes, if this continues, if this is real, he's absolutely an heir to Abdul Carter, whatever you want to say, that next great edge rusher at Penn State. There's a whole bunch of superlatives we can throw on it. It was also Nevada. So I sort of like the discussion we had over on the Pitt channel. I just think there needs to be an asterisk here, and I'm not trying to diminish anything Penn State did. I was extremely encouraged by how their wide receivers looked. I thought Drew Allar was solid, did what was asked of him. I thought the running backs were as advertised. But if this continues with Dani Dennis-Sutton, I mean, we're going to be talking about one of the best defensive players in the country, are we not? And whether it's a low-scoring game or whatever, I mean, we saw the impact that Abdul Carter could have, and at times was completely unblockable. And that's the way Dani Dennis-Sutton was against Nevada. So, I mean, we'll see more this weekend. I really want to see more against Oregon or Ohio State or any of these teams. But, I mean, it's the possibility this dude can mess up some games for them, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and I think it is important in terms of establishing momentum and confidence and that type of stuff in this part of the season. No, you're not probably going to look quite as solid against Ohio State. But then, I think about JT Tuimoloau. I can't say his name from Ohio State, but the way he destroyed Penn State in that game at Beaver Stadium a few years back. Tuimoloau, wow, I think that's how you say it. I apologize. There's so many names that I struggle with, but he wrecked shop, and that's all it takes in some cases. And I think you've seen him do it in enough big games to see him come out of the gates this way does give you confidence that he's going to be ready for those big games when they finally arrive. Jason, I do want to ask about your buy-in level on Jim Knowles as a difference maker in these bigger games for Penn State. We talk about the offense a lot, but to what degree is the season going to be shaped by his ability to get that one extra stop that Penn State has struggled to get in so many circumstances in the James Franklin era?
No.
Certainly you've had great defensive coordinators, Brent Pry, Manny Diaz. I think Tom Allen did a very solid job last season, but does Jim Knowles, for you, have that ability to tighten the screws on opponents just a little bit more, to the point that, especially if you're in that game like Ohio State and Texas played in the horseshoe, that you believe you're going to be on the right side of that and that you're going to get the stops, and not like Ohio State has the last decade against them.
Well, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you talk about Penn State needing a stop late in the game?
There's so many. I don't know where to begin. It's like
I'll go with Penn. Here's what I was thinking. Remember Penn State Beaver Stadium last season? I think Penn State ran it at, or Ohio State ran like the final 9 minutes off of the clock or something like that. Penn State couldn't get a stop. They just ended the game. I mean, that's where I'm thinking about Jim Knowles. Like, find something to stop them. And I think this defense is very good. But yes, I mean, my buy-in level on Jim Knowles is very high. I don't know how it couldn't have been. I mean, look at his resume. Look what he did last year with Ohio State. Look at the way that defense performed, etc. I really like it. And I think it's important when you get into Big Ten play, when you get into late game situations like that, where we're saying you need to get the ball back. You need to get a stop. You need to have something in your back pocket to get some pressure. Maybe it's a 3rd and 7 or something like that. You have to get off the field. This guy's been around. He's done that. He's designed weird things. Yes, my buy-in level is very high. The skill on Penn State's defense, in my opinion, very high. And it's also a Penn State defense that I like to see. Like, we're talking about Dani, Dennis-Sutton. We're talking about Zane Durant. They're big up front. Their linebackers are good. They've got speed in the secondary. So can Jim Knowles move the pieces around? Yes, I believe he can.
With a moment to think about it, Jason, the 2 games I think of are 2017 at Ohio State with J.T. Barrett, just making every play. The Buckeyes needed to win that game, even though Penn State seemed to be in a pretty commanding position. And then the following year at Beaver Stadium, I think we remember the Trace McSorley 4th and 6 call because of how disastrous it was. But that was a game where Penn State, again, was playing from ahead, needed one stop to kind of put things away, and they couldn't do it. So, those are the 2 examples that I look back on. What are your thoughts on those receivers, Jason? Kyron Hudson had a bigger day than I was expecting. I kind of looked at him as number 3 in this pecking order with Devonte, Ross, and Trebor, Pena. I think we knew Devonte Ross has been injured a little bit, maybe not going to be fully integrated into the offense the way he will be later in the season. But still, the way Hudson was so involved, I thought was very encouraging and maybe speaks to, some upside with him that maybe I wasn't expecting, with, yes, the asterisk that it was Nevada.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of pegged Hudson as a number 3 option here, Adam. I don't think he performed like a number 3 option. I don't think he looked like a number 3 option. The combat catch ability, I hate that term, but the ability to use his body and make catches in space was better than I thought it would be. I mean, I don't have any concerns about Trebor Pena. I don't have any concerns about Devonte Ross. You don't amass 1,000 yards by accident. Hudson's never really been I don't know, what did he top out at? 34 balls or something at USC, something like that. I mean, they're going to be looking for more volume, and the guy I saw on Saturday can provide it. The body was impressive. I think James Franklin talked about that after the game. And I think it gave a little bit of a script for how Penn State could look week to week, where, maybe this is a Devonte Ross game. Maybe it's a Kyron Hudson game. Maybe it's a Trebor Pena game, whatever. But I mean, my takeaway from watching the Nevada game is just there's actual depth here. If somebody's not performing, if somebody's covered, they're going to have somebody else to step up. And it's a long way from, just like begging Harrison Wallace or somebody to be halfway decent and give him a split at wide receiver. So, yeah, Hudson impressed, but the whole group was probably what I took away more.
Yeah, and I think that's what, Penn State's been striving for since Derek Williams, Deion Butler, Jordan Norwood, that group left, was having that kind of depth of, I remember being at the game where Jordan Norwood set the freshman record for receptions. And then another week you have Derek Williams going off like he did against that whiteout game in Illinois in 2008. So, can they get that with 3 transfers? I don't know, but that's certainly the ideal that you're striving toward. How responsible was Drew Allar for a lot of this to you, Jason? Because he's a name we haven't quite brought up a whole lot on this conversation, but is his ability to distribute the ball, a factor that maybe we're seeing come out of him now that he has maybe potentially better options than he's had for his first couple of years as a starter? Yeah,
I thought that was a sneaky important thing here. And I'm not looking at Drew Allar needing to see him tested against Nevada. I'm not going to believe anything is real, to continue a theme with us here. with Drew Allar until he does it against Oregon or Ohio State or something like that. He needs to play better in big games for me to truly believe. But, this is an environment that he's never had before. Where does he go with the football? Does he find the open guy? Is it out quick? And they were not a pass-heavy offense, but I think James Franklin probably wanted to see the pass a little bit because that was talked about so much this offseason because there was some new and want to integrate those guys in. And I thought Drew Allar did a really good job. I like the maturity with which he operates. And I know that that's not, you feel the same way. That we've shared opinions on this over the past couple of years. I think he's just a couple very small steps away from being one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I think it might be possible. And I think we're starting to see those steps taken.
Jason, Penn State's over a 40-point favorite in this game upcoming against FIU, according to our friends at FanDuel. Make sure you check them out if you're looking to put a wager on the game. I want to talk a little bit about the running game before we sign off here, Jason. Clearly, it's similar to what we talked about with Pitt. You could tell Penn State was trying to manage the lead running backs, Singleton, Allen. And then on the back end, there wasn't a ton of efficiency with the guys who did get those carries, particularly in garbage time. I think notably they failed on that 1 4th down late in the game when they could have put it away. And yes, it's Nevada. The game had been over for a long time, but situationally, that's where you want to see those guys perform, and they didn't get the job done in that late game situation. Any concern with, I don't think the individuals in terms of Kaytron Allen and Nick Singleton, but what's going on in front of them? Does Penn State still have some things to figure out for you?
Zero. I didn't understand this, Adam. You and your Penn State people, you're nuts. You've got a bunch of starters back on the offensive line. They're really good. You have the best 2 running backs in the country, and they finish with 80-some yards or something, score a couple touchdowns, and there's a problem? I'm just not there. They're going to be fine.
People are remembering 2023, Jason, where I think it was a 20-yard run. They were very late in the season and hadn't had a 20-yard run, and that efficiency wasn't there. So I think it's a valid concern for people with that fresh in their minds.
I think it's an overreaction. I do. It's 1 week. I mean, we're fresh off. You can compare last season. You can make a case. You could argue for Allen and Singleton, or you could argue for Henderson and Judkins, the best running back duo in the country, right? Judkins and Henderson are in the NFL. There's absolutely zero question who the best running back duo is in the country. One game's not going to change that for me, even if it was the most horrendous game in the history of games, which it was not. And they return a bunch of starters up front. The emphasis wasn't on the running game. Those guys are still good players. It was not even a bad game. I think it's an overreaction. I think it's too much. I like it and respect the demand to be great. And Penn State can be great and should hold itself to very high standards, and that's awesome. But I'm not going to sit here and think that, there's a problem because it was one mediocre game out of the running backs. They'll be fine.
No, I'm not sounding alarm bells. I don't think it's
but I think others have that. I think others have.
Well, yeah, I think that might be true, but I do think you want to see dominance in these games and in all aspects, and that was one that I expected them to dominate in, and we did not see that efficiency. So we'll see how it goes this week against FIU at Beaver Stadium. Still got a couple of these non-conference games to go to work out the kinks. If you're just joining us for the first time, please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to have you along for the ride, as we're going to be doing these every week of the season. Otherwise, we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.